If half the people on planet Earth are indeed 30 years old or younger, according to data published by the United Nations, then this targeted demographic should be more than a mere factor in governance around the world, whether as governing or the governed. For the former, their numbers in power are few and far between, while for the latter, these considerations are becoming more obvious in the 21st century scheme of things. That's our focus on Special Report.
If you've done any on carton, can we see them? On carton, nobody brought their carton work. Wow.
In line with the 2023 International Youth Day theme, Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World, government at all levels have been advised to map out avenues through which youth can have early exposure to acquiring skills as a way of empowering them for the future. The director of a non-profit skills acquisition foundation gave the advice.
We train-wash young ones like this on craft for them to be self-reliant, because we know that self-reliance is a key to capacity building. So if we believe that if we catch them young from age 5 and above to adult age.
These are young minds who are believed to be from indigent homes, brought together with the consent of their parents yearly by Mr. Alabo Sampson, a craftsman who helps young minds learn and develop skills to fall back to in the future. The founder of the Special Craft Youth Foundation, he says the center exposes the youth and children to shoemaking, bags crafting, and general art designs free of charge.
They can be free and relied in terms of skill development. And this year theme of International Youth Day is Green Skill for Youth Sustainable World Development. And we are looking at giving them skill, because when they talk about green skill, we are talking about regarding to skill and sustainable, which is related to technical skill, knowledge, value, attitude, and needs in terms of workforce. So we are looking at taking agriculture and technology and using it to create craft, like what you see these young ones do. In as much as they can read and write, we can teach you the craft for free.
He noted that this year's theme of the International Youth Day corresponds with what the foundation has been doing with self-effort since 2008, and wants the government at all levels to encourage such organizations to do more. Some of the children who are present at the mini workshop for their free holiday craft classes, as seen, are making different footwear designs and ornaments.
This is now the upper. I did S. The A to Z can give you any design. This is X design. This is the upper. While this is the top floor. And the center, that is the insole. Then the outside is the sole. But we don't have a heel. So now if I add a heel, it will not become heel. Sometimes when we came to meet this house, please, sometimes we don't have money to pay to him, but sometimes he always give me for free. I should do it. Now, since some days I've not bought gum, he always give me gum for free to do my key order.
I pick interest and went for it. I went for the training and learned so many things: palm making, belts, sandals, even Ankara bags.
The thing helped me so much. Like, it make me to provide things for myself, and I can also use the palm to support myself.
According to a statement by the United Nations to mark the 2023 International Youth Day, a successful transition towards a greener world will depend on the development of green skills and knowledge, abilities, values, and attitudes to live in, develop, and support a sustainable and resource-efficient society.
Please, anything you need, just one person.
The statement explained further that technical knowledge and skills that enable the effective use of green technology shall be encouraged around the world.
Come on, scissors, right? Which one are you not using? Young man.
Heard certain terms that are quite foreign to you. Like, this is the first time you're hearing this.
The urgent need to invest in the development of young people by providing an enabling environment for them to thrive in the country resonates on 2023 International Youth Day. The International Youth Day is a special day recognized by the United Nations every year to draw attention to issues impacting the lives of young people globally.
Nigeria, we have majority of the population under 35. But how many people within this age range are in the cycle of decision making? 4, 0 sometimes. And we continue to have people in their 70s, in their 60s and above, managing things continuously from one government to another. I think that is not good for our country, because these young people that are left out are the ones who are going to form the future. Therefore, they deserve a right. They deserve a place on the table. They deserve to be part of the government. They deserve to be part of decision making. They deserve to be trusted with huge, high responsibilities, because that will prepare them for the future, and that will make the future of our country better. But right now, it is not working. Despite all the efforts and the rhetorics and the stories about, too young to wrong and all that, it had never made any impact. We have to be very serious about bringing young people. And if we continue to sideline young people, I think the future is not going to be what we will want it to be.
Since the year 2000, young people from around the world mark the United Nations International Youth Day every year. The theme for this year is Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World, and it seeks to draw global attention on the need to leverage the opportunities in the non-oil sector to provide jobs for young people and also protect the environment. In Nigeria, several youth groups from different walks of life meet to have conversations around their potential challenges and how to address them.
Today, we have come to make our resolutions, and we have also come to call on the government to say the Nigerian youth are ready for productivity. The government should engage actively with the Nigerian youth. We want to identify the opportunities that are present before us. We know that, yes, there are challenges, but we are standing with a strong resolve today that we will surmount the challenges that face us as a country. All we need from the government is a firm partnership.
We are trained to be dependent, so we go out and search for jobs instead of going out to become employers of labor. So I challenge us today to challenge the system.
Unemployment is a major challenge that resonates amongst the younger people, a situation many believe is the reason for the mass exodus to seek greener pastures outside the shores of the country.
But the cause of our problem in Nigeria is unemployment. Once the youth are engaged, if I'm engaged or the youth are engaged, cannot have the time to go and commit crime in the criminality. So we believe that the unemployment in Nigeria is one of the key factors why we have massive insecurity.
You see, NSAS, Japa syndrome, the aggressiveness shows during the election are symptoms of the general frustration of the young people. Today, the young people are fast losing trust of their leaders, and that should be a matter of concern. So if we have to address this, first, the issue of corruption among political office holders, and the issue of intimidation, and weaponizing of poverty has to be addressed.
When you lack proper planning, integration, you will continue making your citizens frustrated. And out of frustration, we will now look for greener pastures. That is the word now Japa comes in. So I wouldn't blame our Nigerian youth who are leaving the country.
Apart from the issues of unemployment, substance abuse is also a challenge amongst young people, some of whom marked the day at the Unity Fountain in Abuja with a walk to raise awareness on the dangers of drug abuse.
We are trying to encourage, we are trying to sensitize young people to focus more on self-productivity, to focus more on entrepreneurship, to focus more on trying to develop themselves, trying to develop the country and desist from the use of drugs.
Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, with an estimated 60% of its over 200 million people under the age of 26, making it a country of mostly young people whose voices cannot be ignored. For the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, discouraging crime amongst young people is paramount, as they also hold an anti-corruption lecture in Cross River State, targeting the young demographic.
We are trying to enlighten students, that is catching them young, on the ills of corruption. And we've told them why they shouldn't be corrupt, why they should report corrupt practices wherever they are. Believing that if at this age we all buy in, Nigeria will be better for it. With the recent development, if you look at the level of convictions we have in the EFCC, in all commands, majority at like 75% or more has to do with the cybercrime that we call Yahoo Yahoo. And it is one of the reasons why we felt, instead of convicting the youth, who are ultimately the leaders of tomorrow, it is better to come sit with them, talk to them, enlighten them on the ills of all those crimes, believing that it will be better for the country.
This gathering is an assembly of youth from far and wide in different parts of the country coming together to celebrate International Youth Day.
To fast-track the actualization of your dreams.
One after the other, without much ado, they bring to the fore the role of young people on building the nation.
The citizenry is the first pillar. You are the first pillar of the nation. Then the ideology is next. What are we gathered around? What do we want to achieve? What is the DNA of a Nigerian? Some people say corruption. Get out if you say so. For me, it is resourcefulness. It is that resourcefulness that now shows like corruption. You know, give us a law. The first thing is, how do we beat it? And you are not born in your nation by accident. I say a patriot is someone who believes that their country is blessed by having them born in it. We cannot all jackbow.
It is absolutely important for all hands to be on deck. Government cannot do it alone. So we need organizations like SMILE. We need the United Nations to ensure that our youths reach the potential that they need.
The Leadership Summit conveners put the pedal to the metal, taking turns to prefer solutions for the challenges.
We are saying we will not accelerate achievement of the SDGs without a multi-partner, stakeholder partnership. Government needs to provide a conducive environment. Businesses need to thrive, and governments need to enable that, need to cut down red tape that exists. The private sector needs to do at least two things. One is to create jobs that are in the green economy for young people. And secondly, the private sector is also about providing resources.
I think we don't have a proper system in place that educates them. It's not about what they learn in the four walls of school. What we deal with on a daily basis at an organization is those that just need clarity. The issues is lack of mentorship. The issues also are lack of resources. What are resources? I'm not talking about material again. It's the capacity building. They need to be the capacity, the skills, the values, all that needs to be invested in, and we're not doing enough of that. These kind of programs we're organizing are not found in the four walls of school. They are beyond school. They're things that community, they're things that different institutions, religious need to engage in and keep investing in them.
Some participants gave their opinion on the turn of events.
I made up my mind to push through, take the lead, take charge, and learn a skills.
I've learned that I should take charge of my future, and my future is now. And the summit has also taught me that it's not too late or too early to start whatever I have envisioned in myself. Regardless of the situation of the country, I should always be positive and I should always start.
The theme for the 2023 International Youth Day is clear: green skills for youth towards a sustainable world. And the organizers believe a successful transition towards a greener world will depend on the development of green skills for the young population. There is some optimism in spite of challenges, trying to see behind the curtain the silver linings in the clouds confronting the nation in the face of the daunting problems. And governmental responsibility is once again brought to the fore. Governor Ademola Adeleke says his administration is committed to improving the living conditions of youth. He says he's already putting in place mechanisms for young people to make good use of their potential. Governor Ademola Adeleke acknowledged the creativity, resourcefulness, and potential of young people in the state, underscoring the interests of his administration in youth development. He also added that he is revising existing policy on youth development and will create implementation plans that will make it possible for young people to achieve the needed growth, as well as prepare them for the future. Apart from the policy review, the governor noted that his administration has developed a climate agenda, which has the youth at the center of its implementation. According to Governor Ademola Adeleke, the Governor's Climate Advisory Council is developing a state climate policy, whose implementation will be driven by the youth and women, adding that he's instructed the council members to integrate youth and women in the policy design process.
In Nigeria, I think there's a lot we should be happy about. The fact that we're breathing, we're living in peace, so to say. However, I would like to fast track, from the goodies about being young people to the challenges that we face. And in a very, fast perspective, I think the Nigerian youth has not been exposed to a more challenging time, in the trajectory of our nation's history than now. We have a youth population that is vast when you look at the demography. However, when you talk about youth participation in every strata, all the signals are down. So despite the fact that we are happy to celebrate such a day, I think it's more of, to me, an opportunity to reflect on how far, thus far, so far, for young people in terms of global best practices of, our aspirations as young people, where we are and where we should be, pitched against, our colleagues across the globe, everywhere in the world, where you have young people actually making waves in virtually all sectors of the economies of different nations. We have to look inward and challenge ourselves to become vanguards of progress, development that is sustainable, and to see how we ensure that, young people are empowered. The young people account for, the think tank of society. They account for the oil that fuels development and progress in any society, and Nigeria is no exception. So I think the National Youth Day is an opportunity for us to reflect on this, the contribution, that we can give as young people, and how we can make sure that, we do attain that in global standards, not just a localized perspective.
It's a two-way thing, because if we can actually say that, the enabling environment that is actually needed for young people to actually thrive, it is not really being created by the government. And when I talk about the government, I'm not talking about the government at the national level. We are actually talking about the government, and also the government at the subnational level, because everything actually happens at the different states and also local governments and also other localities. So I think for this International Youth Day, it is a call for our leaders, our government, to actually do more in terms of creating enabling environment. There are a lot of policies. That have been in place that has not been really favorable to young people, especially in terms of businesses, people that are doing businesses, not only people that are doing their white collar jobs. So I think our government needs to do more in terms of creating enabling environment. And when it comes to creating enabling environment, there are different sectors. Let different commissioners and in different states, local government chairmans, take
the leadership and also see how they can also bring young people on board, because there's a lot of isolation, there's a lot of gap, and I strongly believe that it is only young people that can actually break this gap. Let us see how they can bring young people on the table to work together collectively, to achieve tangible results. And whether you like it or not, there is no sustainability plan without inclusion of young people in any process. So we really don't want to be beneficiaries again. There are a lot of planning, there are a lot of process that takes place in planning a lot of things. Let us see how they can bring in young people into these rooms, decide together, let young people bring their fresh perspective, their fresh innovations and innovative ideas to a lot of discussions around policies and engagement within the spheres of government. And also other young people that are already close to the government, let them see how they can identify talents. Let them come together and identify their own think tanks of other young people across different sectors to work together, to channel a sustainable pathway for the leaders in the states. Because we understand that the governor or maybe the top person cannot actually see a lot of things that are happening, but they have people around them. They even have children at home that listen or tell them a lot of things that need to be done.
More analysts opine on the way forward.
I think we should go back to the basics. What's happening to our education system? What's the curriculum at the basic level, post-basic level, at the tertiary level? Have we not, become tired of the same complaints day in, day out, year in, year out? And we tend to fix this problem at the end of a Nigerian's, would I say, ultimate educational, career. So you have a Nigerian graduate who has a BSc in something and is still, contributing to that vast 67%, we're talking about. And we now begin to, want to solve the problem after an educational journey of an individual. I think for me, in the education space, we need to go back to the curriculum. And I keep on trying to voice this out. We need to stop wasting time on the letters, the numbers, the road system. We need to go back to hands-on skills. We need to expose our kids at different levels of, basic, post-basic, and tertiary education. We cannot continue to talk about sources of water, rain, well, and so on. We have to take these kids to the next level. And I want to tell you that this is not an issue of let's take the low-hanging fruit. Technology at our education system is the low-hanging fruit. We need to work on our curriculum, make sure that we churn out graduates who have been exposed to digital skills, who have been exposed to technology. I mean, it's not rocket science for us to say from SS1 to SS3. Physics should be taught in a way. We have STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It takes you just 2 weeks to expose a 13-year-old child to embedded systems, artificial intelligence, enough for him to build a mini toy solar-powered car. So we have to expose our kids, not to our world, but to their world.
When we talk about green skills, it's diverse across different sectors. We have green streak in the energy sector, in the agricultural sector. We have it in the environment sector, and all these things are just what is rightly needed. So like I said, communicating them to young people, it's quite easy. Get other young people that are doing these things and let them be the one to pass the information to other people. And this is where TOT and other mechanisms comes in, to train people around. If it is around renewable energy, let's train people how to build solar panels and see how they can actually use it to enrich and empower their community. Talking about sustainable agriculture, we have different vertical and urban farming practices. We have the hydroponics and aeroponics that can that young people can actually leverage on to make ends meet. These are green skills, and also passing the information due to their capacity, especially people in the rural community. Language should not be a challenge, because these things can easily be translated to different languages and get the people in the community or locality, train them for them to train other people, to embrace these green skills. We have the circular economy. We have recycling of different things. We have upcycling. We have a lot of materials that could easily be used in different localities to train young people.
Meanwhile, the president Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed the commitment of his administration to creating meaningful opportunities for Nigerian youth. President Tinubu emphasized that youth empowerment is a fundamental pillar of all reform action being implemented across sectors to create an environment where Nigerian youth can thrive and contribute to the growth and development of the nation. President Bola Tinubu also acknowledged the growing interest and impact of many young Nigerians in technology-related fields and vowed to honor his campaign commitment of generating 1 million new jobs in the digital economy for the upliftment and national economic development. The president implored young Nigerians to spearhead efforts aimed at achieving the highest quality of sustainable development. In Nigeria, job opportunities with career diversity in a suitably competitive environment, as provided for by the government, will go a long way towards meeting the yearnings and aspirations of the youth. And while the saying, "the youth are the leaders of tomorrow," may have fast become a cliche, it's no less true, nor less a fact. Therefore, what sort of tomorrow is being prepared for by our leaders today? For Special Report, I'm Olumide Macaulay.